Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. This is the Tuesday, July 23rd, 2020 meeting of the Waldoboro Select Board, and we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'd say at the outset that we're going to get a call in from our auditors at some point during the meeting, so when they call, we'll interrupt to listen to what he has to say and then come back to the regular flow of the meeting. We do have a public hearing regarding a bingo blanket letter that was presented by the American Legion. So is there a motion to open a public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. The hearing is open. Is there any, I guess we need to wait for public comment, Max. We'll give them a
There
minute or
has
so.
been no police action or anything. They've had a clean record.
It's bingo.
It's bingo.
Yeah.
But it's been a very long time since we've done a hearing, so this will be a yearly event around this time, so.
Oh, some of them older ladies and they get pretty rowdy.
Yeah.
I've been there when they.
They do.
Don't mess with the Beano crowd.
Any comments?
Is anybody on, Max?
Something might be going on with the stream. I don't know what, but it doesn't look like it's loading properly. I have to adjust this for a bit. You can continue, but
You think we're good to go?
yeah.
Okay. So there is no public comment. Is any comment from the select board other than those we've already made?
No.
Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Act on the bingo blanket letter. All in favor? 4-0. Thank you. No presentations this evening? Well, the auditor will be making one at some point.
Correct.
Let's wait for that. Adjustments to the agenda.
I just have one.
You have one?
I
Okay.
have one. I just, the pitch would like to use the fields for a Dutch soccer camp, so we just need to discuss that real quick.
Okay. Sorry, who wishes to?
The pitch,
That's a,
it's a week-long soccer camp for kids.
Good.
So if we could just add that to the agenda, all you have to do is just, we've been through this once now, so we know the drill.
under new business?
Yeah.
Now that'll be 10.8?
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yeah, Marcus gave it to me today.
10.6.
10 points.
I've got two of my own, sorry. I'd like to add one to reappoint Scott Simpson to the planning board. His term is up at the end of this month. And I think they meet in July. Is it before the next?
Well, everybody's term has been extended to July 14th.
To July 14th? Okay,
So if you just want to do these all in one,
that's fine. I
or,
don't have a problem with that.
or
I
we
just
can, it doesn't
thought
matter.
it would be good to get Scott put away and. in
That,
order.
we can.
That's fine. Is there any objection to putting him on? Okay, so he would be 10.6. And then there was another one we discussed during our 80 Grace Subcommittee meeting last Friday, I think, if there was.
No, it was Monday.
Monday? Okay, sorry.
Yesterday.
Yesterday. Boy, my calendar. And the request was to broaden the mandate of that subcommittee to include consideration of new proposals and to create and distribute an RFP subject to select board approval if they think it would be something we should do. So that would be an additional agenda item.
Two items or one?
The one item would be Scott.
Right,
And the
right,
second
but,
item would be to extend the mandate of the committee to include consideration of new proposals and creation and distribution of an RFP if they would like to recommend that to the select board.
okay.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? And that's on the agenda then as 10.7. Okay, citizen comments. Do we have any, Max?
No, there was an issue with the stream. I don't know why it wasn't going as smooth as it usually does, but I've had to restart the stream, so I'm gonna mention everything you've already discussed, just in the chat, and there'll probably be comments later, but this might have to be an issue. This might have to be an item we push a bit later on. I have the other recording version, so.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not live yet.
So we can pick
But
up
we can see, but more people are on watching, but it doesn't seem like we're live.
Yeah, I'm trying to fix it all.
Okay.
So I'll wait a bit until you let me know it's okay.
Again, I'm gonna try and fix it, but you might want to just move on and we'll come back to citizens' comments and I'll put it all in the chat. And then
Okay. Select board comments? Katie, Abden,
Nope, good.
Jen?
Yeah, I do. Hey, this is our time. Well, I think like most of us here, I like to learn new things. So I learned something new on Saturday while Katie and I were volunteering for the shellfish cleanup. I learned it from Katie. Katie learned it from Justin. So, and that's a wonderful way to learn. And maybe Abden would be the one to explain it. It has to do with what looks like a float, and actually it is a float, but it looks like the kind of float the kids jump off of down at the town landing. But it has another purpose in life. And it's like an incubator,
What's
right?
the name of it? What do you call
It's
it?
an upweller.
Upweller.
Upweller, okay.
Or it's, never mind.
So that's what that second float is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, see,
That's
and
the upweller.
I thought that was just there and, okay.
No.
I did
No,
too, and then
that's cool.
Katie checked on it and found out,
Yep.
and then she shared that with me,
Yep.
and now we're all in the know. So do you want to explain what an upweller is besides a clam incubator?
Well, all they do is, this one here is a little different than a normal upweller. Usually you'd put tiny baby clams in there and grow them to size where you think they could live. This here is gonna be, we're gonna put adult clams in there. And when they spawn out, there'll be a huge amount of clams in that float, and they'll all be close to each other, so they'll be able to, when they spawn, the males and females will be able to mix, so.
Okay, so you could think of another name for it.
No, she already has.
Oh, well, okay. All right. But an interesting thing, and what I thought was just a float.
Yep.
Really
Does it float downstream, downriver,
No, we gotta take it down. We're gonna put it downriver.
and then you anchor it off someplace?
Yep.
Okay.
So has it been stopped yet, or you still?
We're waiting for a
the cages.
permit,
Yeah, the
Okay.
the
cages.
permit from the Army Corps and cages.
Yep.
Now, it looks like a flat deck.
It does,
Or
it's supposed to.
Yep,
They
there's
open up.
individual
You open
hatches.
up, okay.
Individual hatches, you can, when you pull them up, it goes straight down through.
If you look at it, I looked at it and just saw a regular float.
Right.
But once Katie explained to me what it was, then I looked at it again and I could see those little openings. So, sometimes our mind sees what we think it is, but it really isn't.
And how many doors are on top?
I think,
9, 10.
no, it's more than that. I think there's 20.
And they all open up and
Yep.
you put the clams in, shut it down?
Yep.
They all do their thing.
Yep, underwater,
See, yep. Well,
3
that's
feet
not-
down.
And do they all know when they are to spawn or?
Usually when it's water temperature
That's a
related,
joke.
when it's water temperature related,
Really?
Uh-huh.
and when one goes, they all go.
Okay. So you just go down on one spot and they all do their thing and then you bring it back up?
No, we'll leave it down there, because what we'll do is they'll spawn 2 or 3 times in the season.
Oh, they're like rabbits.
So,
So who built that?
3 harvesters.
Wow.
Israel Harvey,
Yeah, oh.
Lee Bennett.
Lee Bennett,
And Brian Bennett.
and Brian Bennett.
Yep.
Nice.
They did a really good job.
yeah.
They did
It
a
looks
beautiful
nice,
job.
it really
is,
does.
it's really-
It does
The
really
ones we
look
built
nice.
before, we didn't use pressure-treated lumber, we used just rough solid lumber. It didn't last like it should have. This here should last 15 years or longer.
There, so aren't you glad I had something to say?
Yeah.
I really thought that was interesting, and, you know, I wouldn't have known except
I
Katie
know,
found out, and
I
then
was
she
ready
came
to
and
go down there
shared.
and use it as a float
Yeah,
and jump in the
jump
river.
off.
It was really hot that day.
It was, yeah.
How many baby clams do you think you might get in one cycle?
Well, we can put roughly what we figured is probably 10 bushel or so in that flow. And depending on the size of the clam, we're probably gonna use bigger clams. So I believe it's every inch or inch and a half clam will produce 1 million baby clams.
Wow.
So if they're, say we put
The baby clam maker.
10 bushel of 2-inch clams that are roughly that's about 800 per bushel. So you're talking 8,000 clams could produce
It's a lot of
a
clams.
lot.
Yeah.
So this takes the place of you guys going down and doing it yourself?
Well, not really. I mean, we used to have an upweller that was down there before by Sam Chapman had run. And for some reason, while that float was there, the outside edges of the channel got produced seed for some crazy reason. Since that's been gone, there hasn't been clams outside. So the theory is, nobody's ever done this before. The theory is if we put another upweller out there, when they spawn, will the seed stay there on the outside edges?
You'll find out in time.
Yep. Yep.
Good, oh, good, interesting.
How you doing, Max?
Stream is not working at all. I don't know why it's just not providing any, like, video. I'm gonna try and one more thing.
How are we gonna do the minutes if we don't have any video or?
Because we still
a
have-
separate recording,
We have the separate recording.
Okay,
so
sorry, it's on a little thick tonight.
It's okay.
It's this mask.
It happens. So, anybody else?
I have two things I wanted to talk about briefly. One is that there's an institute in Rochester called the Institute of Technology, and they've been doing some public surveys. They're called Civic Pulse. They've been doing some surveys of municipalities during COVID, and they published two of their results, two of the things they found out during the survey. One is that, and we've seen it, community compliance with COVID-19 measures will decline as it has been. And that kind of explains the increases in cases in certain areas of the country. And the other one is that local governments rely on encouragement rather than enforcing policies. And of course, that makes sense too. Try to police people's behavior, it's kind of hard to do. So those are the two things they're reporting on. And the second one is that apparently the Maine Forestry Service has suspended online open burn
Yes.
permits until we get an adequate rainfall. I just thought I'd put that out there.
Yes. Would you like it with pepperoni or a veggie? Curbside pickup, definitely. It's Ron, the auditor.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to put you on speakerphone.
Want to put them on here?
Yeah. Can you hear us, Ron?
I hear you. Can you hear Karen and I?
There you go.
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Hi, folks.
I fixed the stream, by the way.
Oh, good, okay.
Welcome to Waldoboro.
Thanks for calling in.
Listen, thanks for having us. Sorry I'm a little late, Julie. Listen, I hit construction like nobody's business to get to where I'm at right now.
Oh, don't even worry about it.
Is the volume at max?
Do you want to put it further?
Go ahead. We're waiting for you. Tell us
So
how
about
wonderful
this?
we
How about
are.
this, Julie, I'll walk through the highlights, walk through some of the talking points for last year, where we're at now. How about I do that?
Perfect.
So the state of the state, you know, the town of Waldoboro is on 19, for fiscal year 19. You were almost identically where you were at in fiscal year 18. You had about $1.3 million in carryover balance in your general fund, you know, in 18. You had $1.3 million in carryover balance in 19. And I actually think that that's good news because you guys had planned to have a spend down of that in 19 of about $166,000, and you didn't use it all. So that's the best way I can say it, you know, and where we'd like to see that number, that 1.3, you guys used $255,000 to balance your 2020 budget. It left you with about $1.1 million of unassigned fund balance, which is almost exactly where you guys were in 18. So where do we like to see it? We like to see it between 30 and 90 days. And what's that mean in Waldoboro terms? It means 800,000 for 30 days, about 1.6 for 60 days, and about 2.4 for 90 days. Where are you at? You're at probably around 45 days, exactly where you were last year. So I think that's good news, for sure. As far as some of the other highlights, for 6/30/19, the water department is lean and mean, you guys. I know we had this conversation last year. You got about $20,000 worth of carryover balance. All the rest of your money is tied up into infrastructure and I know, and Julie, and help me, I know that there was discussion about rate increases, and I know that was
They come July 1st.
et cetera. It's pretty obvious, Julie, you're at that point.
Yeah.
I know that there's even discussion, about the whole complex of the water department and what was going to happen with that going forward as well.
We decided to keep it, and the rate increase starts July 1st.
There you go. I think it's much needed, you all, for sure, and like I say, when as an outsider looking in, if somebody said, hey, Ron, what's your biggest take on that? You're running a utility department, $250,000 utility department, you all, and it's lean and mean, really at the end of the day. So that rate increase was necessary, certainly to help your financial picture, obviously for the water department, and certainly I think much needed, you all, for sure. Some other things. I think, and Julie, I don't know where you're at right now. Where are you at with your town meeting for FY 2021?
July 14th.
So a couple of things. This pandemic, all I've done, you all, is have conversations with probably over 150 municipalities over the past 2 months, just about kind of where their budget's going to land in June 30, 2020. And what we're seeing, you all, is not financial problems in this fiscal year on June 30th. We're seeing financial problems, somewhere late this year and, the winter time of December of 20 and the early part of 2021. And I'm not going to say that Waldoboro is going to be spared here, you all. I can see you guys having some cash flow problems for sure, with this pandemic and certainly the not knowing what's going to happen in this state, and it's in some tough shape too. What's going on with revenue sharing and, the tourism season. It really is impacting and taking no mercy all over the state. And what I'll tell Waldoboro is the same thing that I'm telling all other municipalities. I think, Julie, it's going to be probably well into fiscal year 2021 before really what the resemblance, of what this whole pandemic is going to cause to the financial status of local government, in this state, and that's a tough way to run local government. The good news is you've got, you've got some fund balance, 45 days to prepare for, some cash flow or whatever the challenges are, and running, local government, and I think you're going to need it just like every other community in the state, for sure. And I think that's probably one of your bigger challenges as well. And I think that the good news is that you've been able to put some money away in the capital reserves, you all, and you got about $1.8 million there. I believe that money's there to use for cash flow purposes. We're seeing a lot of municipalities, basically, going, to the public and saying, hey, if we're going to survive this, we may have to access some of our dedicated reserve accounts for cash flow purposes. I see Waldoboro in the same boat as all the other communities, really, at the end of the day for June 30, 2021, the fiscal year next year. I think it's going to be a big challenge for this state and for all the local governments in it to really maintain that, financial stability. And a time ago, $1 million would go you guys a long way. Not in this day and age. $1 million could be a phone call, for some, necessary, repair, infrastructure need, or whatever, that you have going on there, that could pose a problem, water department included, too. And that's really, that I think that also puts a lot of pressure, on the municipality as well, when you got a lean and mean enterprise fund. And trust me, we're seeing a lot of lean and mean, enterprise funds.
We did do.
Go ahead, Julie.
We did cut $480,000 out of the budget this year.
Yeah, and I think that, like I say, that's cause and effect, Julie. I think that that's a good thing. Hopefully that'll mitigate some of the revenue shortfalls. I'm more so concerned, you all, with revenue sharing and any other special thing that's going to happen here, if we experience a wave 2 of this pandemic.
Correct.
And this state certainly doesn't have the money, going on. The education systems, you all, that you guys are direct contributor of, they're I think that there's going to be some financial struggles there too in this state, on how the cost of education and what the cost of education, is going to look like in FY 2021. We're in some challenging times, and time this state and this country has never seen. And I really think local government's going to bear the burden, of a lot of the financial hardships for sure. And Big Brother federal government's going to come bail the states out, and the state's really going to have to, really, quite frankly, pass that money down to you all, in the communities to, I think, keep the resemblance of this infrastructure in the state looking somewhat close to what it looks like now. So, yeah, it's there's a lot of conversations going on out there, and I'm struggling with June 30, 2021, you guys. Really, it's there's going to be some huge financial challenges in this state. And Julie, everybody's cutting their budgets, and everybody's delaying infrastructure, projects to protect their cash flow. Everybody's doing the same thing, and I'm glad that you guys obviously looked at that and saw that as a deterrent, to help you out financially. So.
Ron, one of our goals, I think, that we'd like to try to accomplish is to wean ourselves off of revenue sharing and not anticipate that in the budget ever again, and just look at it as, oh, look, a windfall.
There's a lot of people in that same boat, and that conversation's been a common one too. With the point, we're seeing people cut revenue sharings in half or entirely, for their 21 budgets, Julie. I might fall in that category. Oops. Yeah, and Julie, I'll tell you, the other ones are road assistance, and any other type of homestead reimbursements, things like that, Julie, the equipment, reimbursement to Betty. I'll tell you, there's a lot of people looking hard at those things, because I think that some of those programs are going to have to get sacrificed, and I think the municipalities are trying to stay out in front and make sure that their budgets, include possibly, a reflection of that sacrifice. So.
Yep.
Yeah, you're not alone. Like I say, it's tough time, and I really think even July 14th, you guys moved it to July. I think that's good. Would have done the same thing. I think it's going to be probably well into after Labor Day when you really see, what this stimulus package number 3, 4, and 5 is going to look like, because that's where your, that's where your relief is going to come into government. I think you all, really at the end of the day, and what the states have now and what's been given by the U.S. federal government, is nothing more than kind of a stopgap, to throw some emergency funding, at where emergency funding needs to be thrown at in the states. So.
Well, thank you.
It's going to be a tough one, and like I say, whatever you all have for questions, I look forward, to being your sounding board. There's a lot of conversations, going on right now, but I think that the biggest thing that I'll say is there's a lot we don't know, and there's a lot we're not going to know until well into your next fiscal year. So,
Ron, one of the other things we're looking at is restructuring any debt we have.
I think that's a great idea. And one other thing, Julie, you might want to think about too, because interest rates are so attractive. I think the banks, Julie, everything that I'm seeing right now, especially some of your bigger banks in the state of Maine, with government spending and financing. I'm talking to 2 banks right now, Julie. They're apprehensive of lending big money for infrastructure, leases, things like that, Julie. I'll tell you, they're sitting on the fence for a lot of reasons. But I think now is the time to be talking to the banks, because I think there's going to be a run on the banks, Julie, sometime this fall, with tax anticipation notes, which you may want to consider, just in case there's an insurance policy out there, if January, February, you find your cash flow getting real lean and mean, so I encourage it, Julie, absolutely. And talking to your banks now sooner than later,
Right.
Is the way to go. So.
One of the areas, can you hear me, Ron?
Yes,
Yeah,
you're
one of
fine.
the areas of concern that we've had is the school budget.
Yeah,
I mean, our town forks out over $5 million a year for its school budget. And to the best of my knowledge, at least, the school board has not taken any action at this point to anticipate the kind of difficulties you've just described. They're assuming
Yeah.
level state funding.
yeah. And everything that I've heard, and I'm just shocked that I'm hearing this right now, and I've got great respect for the Department of Education, but the Department of Education right now is going on record, unless that's just changed, you all, in the past, we'll say 72 hours, going on record to saying that they're not anticipating any curtailments or any reduction,
Which is
of
exactly what
education
Steve said.
subsidy. And I'll tell you, that's a
The,
big
treasurer
unknown, and
said
that's
they
a
have a plan
powerful
B.
statement,
said that.
for that to make, because it has such tentacles, not only with education, but to all the municipalities, of which you just said, $5 million, more than half of your budget is coming out for the cost of education.
Yep.
And that's a big wild card, you all, and that's a tough one, to have to sit and try to wait, well into your fiscal year before you can kind of see that. And I really, hope that the Department of Education is very proactive and working with these schools so that they're working with you all, because I can see that being a budget breaker this year. So.
Okay.
And we do a lot of schools, and we're having those conversations right now. I think the schools are all shaking their heads too. So.
Anybody else? Well, I think that's it for you, Ron.
Yeah, listen, it's been great, and there's been a lot of progress made. And Julie, as we discussed, I think your Trio software, you guys you and Peg continue to work on that. I'd still continue to put a lot of energy into that, but there's a lot of progress going on in Waldoboro, and whatever we can do to help, Julie, again with Trio, and be that sounding board and be that help and crutch for you and Peg, and and help out through these challenging times. We're here for you.
Well, COVID did one thing. It made Peg and I have a lot of alone time together to work on our debits and credits. And once you do pre-audit, Karen will get lots of little notes that
we'll give you a quiz on that. We'll give you the COVID quiz.
you're going to give me. I had to put my CFO hat back on, and so there's lots of little notes that I left you that said Julie did this. If it's wrong, just let me know. Peg had nothing to do with it.
Julie, and we took care of that matter with Richard last year with EMS,
Right.
so the board's aware. And there's a lot of progress going on in Waldoboro, really.
There really
A lot of
is,
progress.
and I will tell you that with the write-off and then with how we're doing billing differently, it's working really well. At the next select board meeting, you're going to see a couple of requests for some assistance for paying bills. And we've also started to ask other towns to submit their billing that might be outstanding to their fund for reimbursement for people who can't afford to pay. So we're really trying.
Listen, and that's one thing we can say, you all, just let the board know that there's a lot of effort going into Waldoboro, really, and just trying to progress. So,
Well, thank you.
listen, good luck, stay safe, you all, and whatever you need us, Julie, we're always here. So, and we're looking forward to pre-audit.
We are too. We're excited to have you come. Thanks.
Debits on the left, credits on the right. Don't forget.
I remember. Bye.
Talk to you all later.
Piece of food. Well, that was helpful. That was helpful. And it was a good, first year for Peg.
Mm-hmm.
Not that we don't have, our Trio we're still trying to navigate through, but we're working on it.
Well, his report indicates that it's making progress.
And I'm very proud of our fund balance and how we've managed that. And, I know it sounds like a lot of money, But, you know, I was talking to Steve, and I should also mention that Steve, Nolan and I have every meeting night, we have our 3:30 phone call. We were on the phone for an hour today. He wanted to extend two things to you. One is that we have an amazing fire EMS department and police department who were amazing, apparently, during the graduation.
Good.
And just how everything moved, and they kept the traffic flowing and everything. They just did a great job. We are now up to, I think, a list of 13 things that we think we could share and save money doing. So that was exciting. And he did reiterate again today that they're still getting the same guidance from the Department of Ed, as Ron just said, that don't anticipate any reduction in funding.
That's where I have a bone to pick with him. I don't think they ought to be waiting for guidance. I think they ought to be doing what we did. They ought to be proactive. They ought to get it done, and they're not. So I have a real problem with that.
They have different rules. They follow different rules.
That's
than
not
we-
a rule that you have to wait for the guidance. Or at least you construct your plan B and get it going.
So
I wasn't finished. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
No, they have, as far as I know, and I did speak to a school board member, their rules are different than ours. If we cut money and all of a sudden it comes in, we can spend it. Is that correct? We need to?
we would have to go back and readopt.
Right, they are saying that, and they do have a Plan B. Mrs. Pike did explain that they do have, that their guidance was to keep the numbers, because if perchance they get the money, then they can spend it. But whatever they agree to, they cannot spend over that. So that was according to select board, school board member. If they get the money, that's why she thought the guidance was to keep the numbers. But they do have a Plan B if they don't get the set amount, and I think they're not really planning on it. They do have a Plan B, but if they cut, then they can't, and the money does show up, they can't use it. So those were the different rules that they have.
The problem is that if the voters approve the budget that's on the ballot now, we are committing as voters to provide and fund a budget of $30 million. Unless we go to the polls again, we can't rescind that vote.
No, but they don't have to spend it all.
I'm not finished.
Oh,
I'm not finished. So the school board is putting the voters into the position of having to pass a budget if they pass it, and then live with the consequences. My point is that we should turn that budget down. We're going to have the guidance, the governor says, by August 1st. That gives them about 4 weeks, if you look to the middle of August, to come up with another budget based on the guidance that they received from the governor. If they're waiting for guidance, then they shouldn't have passed the budget to begin with. They should have let it ride because they could fund for 3 months based on last year's budget anyway. But they've gone ahead and done it. And my view is that because the budget always passes in Waldoboro, almost without exception. I think I don't remember one time when the budget didn't pass. We met in the gym, but it usually passes. So my concern this year is that voters are really not going to be taking as close a look at this as they need to, and vote it down and require the school board to come together again, wait for the guidance they didn't have when they did the first budget, and then take another crack at it. As you say, Julie, take another bite out of the apple.
So what I think, though, I think where everybody's getting confused too, is if it does, so if it does go down, if it doesn't go down and it goes through as is, and then they find out after the fact that they're short $1 million in revenue, they still have to go back.
We're not approving the revenue side of that budget.
No, but-
the only thing we're
but
approving
they-
is the taxes that
But
we collect.
it needs to be a balanced budget, is what I'm saying. So they would have to make those, if they're down $1 million, they're going to need that $1 million. They're going to need to present a balanced budget.
Well, I would rather vote it down and then let them start from scratch and know where we're all starting.
But I think that my train of thought just left me. It was, so my point was, when I started, was that we are 536,000 below where we were in last year's budget.
I'm sorry, that's a straw man.
No, the town.
We are, oh, sorry, yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the town, the town.
Yeah,
We adopted a budget that was $536,000 less than last year, and we made $480,000 in those cuts, as everybody knows. But so I want to talk about, just like for us for a minute, is we've made those cuts. We didn't anticipate. We didn't play with Betty, and we didn't play with any other reimbursement.
Homestead.
And Homestead. We didn't even play with that. We took the hit on revenue sharing, knowing that that's the big one. So I think we cut it more than in half. So that's where we're at with that.
yeah. No, I think what we've done is,
No, I think,
couldn't watch
I
that.
just wanted to reiterate on what he said. And like I said, they're still getting that same guidance. And obviously, from what Ron said, all the schools are, which was good to hear.
Yeah, well,
They're all getting
yeah.
the same information.
not all the schools have reacted the same way.
Well, that's up to the
Some of
people,
them
though.
anticipated
Right.
by cutting their athletic
Yeah.
program before the end of the year, which is what the state directed them to do, in fact. They requested that the school district, the same thing the state government did, is cancel whatever they can to ensure that revenues are banked and not spent. And our school district didn't do that.
They've cut their sports. They've cut a lot of the sports.
They didn't cut the salaries, Jan.
Well-
People were still paid. That's where the money is.
Well, they haven't, like, there's no soccer. I don't think they've paid.
I'm sorry, but.
I don't know. It is up to the people, and I do remember years when the school budget did not pass. There were many years, for a while. It was a difficult time. Trying to remember the name. There was a mix somebody. And most recent years it has, just at one
That's
time.
true.
But prior to that, there was a spell when it was difficult. I think it's up to the people. You know, I think it's up to the people. It will go to the vote, and it's up to them. We can't.
Well, I encourage
for
them to make it go back and have
Well-
another crack at it.
I would encourage them to vote what they think.
Fair enough.
You know, some will, some won't.
Any other, I guess, Julie, the ball is in your court now.
Oh, is it my turn? Lots of fun things are happening. Absentee ballots are just flying out of this office, and I want to give a big shout out to my sidekick over there, Max, who is just being amazing. And we got our original 400 out all on between last Monday and Tuesday, and we're almost at 600. So
Wow.
here we go. We're going. So that's going well. If you do bring back your absentee ballot, please drop it off to the door, knock on the door. Don't leave it in the box out front. There's 3 different signs that says that, so hopefully people will understand that. We are still having in-person voting. We're working on our plans for that. We're still getting guidance from the state about what they're expecting us to do. So that's going well. We are closed, just so you're aware, the 4th of July with our different work schedule. We will be closed next Thursday.
Yep.
So just be aware of that. So we will be closed Thursday. Trying to think what other fun things. We are also, big news, today was our last day for the food pantry to be here at the office. They're relocating down to 124 Friendship Street, the old former Madomic house. So it was a good day where we were able to say goodbye to how we have been doing it. Big thank you to Moose Crossing. They donated squash and tomatoes we handed out today, plants, so people could take them home and plant. But that's where we're at. So next week, everything will be down there. We'll be helping, our volunteers will be helping one more time, but then they're going to fly on their own again. It's like watching your child leave the nest.
They were very appreciative of everything they learned here and all of the contacts that you made. I get to listen in as they were at the table, the intake table. And they're-
Today we had laundry detergent and paper plates.
Yep.
You just don't think about the things, and a lot of it's based on what people have said they need, and you don't realize, but like your SNAP benefits don't cover any paper products,
Right. Soaps and-
any hygiene products, so those are things. We gave out razors 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
And
some
that was
today.
and some today, and deodorant, and it was a huge hit.
Mhm.
It was a really huge hit, so.
And also toothpaste.
Toothpaste
and
and
toothbrushes,
toothbrushes and, yeah, I think it's a really good,
The
thing.
recipients are they are so kind, and they just want to thank everybody. They're just very, it's a very pleasant experience.
It is.
Do we have numbers from today?
I do not have numbers from today.
90-something, I think. When I left, I think
Yeah.
it was almost 100.
90-something?
Yeah, so we're hanging right there.
Mm-hmm.
And the only other thing we have to address would be sprawl block, because we do a delivery there. So we're trying to get that set so we no longer have to deliver. But the people who are in true need, now that their cook is back and they're getting their meals, to figure out what that real count is for that.
Yeah. Okay.
Julie, you said we were closed next Thursday, the 25th?
No, I'm sorry.
be the second.
It'll be July 2nd, I'm sorry.
Why?
Because July 4th is the holiday and it falls on a Saturday this year.
Okay, so we're closed Friday anyways.
Right. So that
means-
would make the holiday Thursday, I'm sorry, July 2nd.
Okay.
I
thank
keep,
you.
I'm a week
Yeah.
ahead.
I'm a week behind.
I'm a week ahead. I just want to get to July 14th.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Any other comments from anyone? You have anything, Max?
We have to open up for public comment.
Yeah. Do you have anything, Max?
I have nothing right now.
This
the end
is
of the
for public comments.
Yep, I'm not seeing anything on here. I'm gonna try and fix this maybe tomorrow, see what went wrong. But the stream's now working, but I haven't received any comments.
Okay, thank you.
Did you want to open to public officially?
Well, I thought I did. but
Okay.
If you, I can say it formally, that we're open for public comments. If people would like to participate in the active stream, please do so now.
Don't forget this in the way.
I'm sorry.
Nothing. I mean, 3 people are watching. One's me, one's Ruben, one's
And-
probably Alex. So I don't think there's really any comments.
Okay, thank you. The consent calendar, is there a motion, please?
Make a motion to accept?
Second.
Second. Jan, did you have something?
There's a thank you note, correspondence that goes with that. Do you want me to read that?
Yes, please.
It says, "To the committee of the George Genthner Scholarship, I'd like to express my sincere gratitude for the generous scholarship you awarded me. I greatly appreciate your recognition of my efforts. I am pleased to say I will be attending the University of Maine at Augusta this fall. Once again, thank you so much, Hannah Prock," and she sent a picture with a big thank you on it.
Oh, wow,
Isn't that cute?
nice? Yeah.
Yep.
Can
She
the
comes
camera
from, I
pick
think, a
that? Can the camera
family of,
pick
like,
that?
No, it's too small.
I
No,
think
too
there are like
small.
5 kids at least, I think, in her family.
Wow,
But, yeah, that was I thought that was very nice of her to do that
Yep.
for us.
anything else on the consent calendar to be discussed? Okay, all in favor? 4-0. New business. The Spirit of America Award, I don't want to mention names here, but the thought was that
It doesn't have to be from,
No,
Waldoboro.
I asked that.
yeah.
It has to be somebody who's done something amazing for Waldoboro.
yeah. So is there a consensus that we should work on this?
We
Okay.
usually do, right?
Yeah,
I just
it's
wanted
nice.
to make
It's
sure,
a-
I
it's a
thought
very
that was a
nice
really good
reward.
idea.
Yeah.
yeah, no, it is a good idea.
Not that it was mine, but it was. Good.
Okay, we've reviewed the 2019 audit, so 10.2 is taken care of. Discuss the spectrum agreement with the side letter.
So this is the original agreement that we had before we added Chapel Road to it. So now we took Chapel Road out of it because they're not going to sign it if Chapel Road's in it because they don't want to adhere to a guideline in the throes of a pandemic. So they did give us an email that says they'll do Chapel Road.
They did. So,
If you guys would like, if you are comfortable proceeding with just an email, which is not part of the agreement, then we should execute this and forward it on to,
Is this
Chapel
letter on the top from,
that's from
Shelley?
Shelley to me.
is she Spectrum?
Yes. So we already had the hearing on this. I'm looking at this not as a whole new agreement, but that we submitted them language, they submitted it back and said that they can't accept that language, so we would just have to execute this agreement, because we've already had the hearing and everything. So that's, and this is the recommendation from Ruben, the head of the CTC committee.
And he actually just commented, if it comes up, I'm pro this plan for the franchise agreement. That was Ruben.
I'm pro this plan for
The franchise
the
agreement.
franchise agreement. Thank you.
So if you would like to take a vote, we
Is
can
there-
execute it. I can get it up there tomorrow to them,
Okay.
you know, and
The motion would be to execute on the understanding that we have an email from them confirming that they will do Chapel Road.
with the revised language, taking out Chapel Road in any timeline.
Right.
They are going to do Chapel Road.
That's what the
That's
email
what they
says.
said.
But they're not willing to put it in the agreement, which is why when I came back to you guys with this, I said, then we have no. But it's all, it's in an email.
It's-
I know what you're saying.
It's almost tantamount to being a side letter without, and it's not enforceable, but I believe Shelley. I do.
So we just need a motion to approve the agreement.
So they can back out anytime they want.
Well, if they sign the agreement, they can't back out of the agreement.
I know, but is the email
No,
legal,
It's probably not binding.
It's not binding.
not binding?
This is a leap of faith, which is the closest maybe that we're gonna get to getting chapel done.
So you think they will do it? They will do it this year?
They haven't said anything for a timeline.
No.
They will not accept, they don't want a timeline put into the agreement. So I think the email's the best we're going to get.
They have indicated that they would apply for applicable permits no later than 30 days from the execution of the franchise agreement. So there is a timeline there. If we
Right.
execute tomorrow, they have to apply to CMP for the permits within 30 days. They've
That's
agreed-
what's in the
That's what's in
email.
the email.
Not in the
Not
contract.
in the agreement, but it's in the
But
email.
it
This is
does
just-
give the 6 months.
They're stating their intention. And
My fear was that if we signed this agreement, we went from 9 homes to 14 homes, 20.
yeah.
And I was afraid that then it would never get done without something in writing, but we have the email. If we got, it can't,
We're no better off by signing than we are now, but
Right,
we're certainly not worse off.
it's a leap of faith.
Yeah,
I just hope they service these people.
I do too.
There is nobody in this room who is
Oh,
more
yeah.
eager for them to be serviced than Julie. I want them to
Yeah.
get the service. I do. I desperately want it.
Okay.
So you got to call the vote.
Yep. So the motion is that we authorize Julie to sign the agreement, and that we do have the email from Shelley confirming what Spectrum intends to do.
And I
Apple
will
Road.
sign it and send it off in the morning.
Yep. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? 4-0. Okay. Animal Control Services contract.
Yes. Does anybody have any questions? I know we went over this during the, oh, sure. Budget committee meetings.
Yeah. Is this the agreement that we've always signed with them?
Yes, it is.
It is? It does things like require us to share equipment, animal control equipment, which I don't think we have and probably aren't doing now.
This goes to every single town. It's the
Right.
same
Yeah,
agreement.
it's gonna be the same. They're not gonna make us any different from anybody else.
No.
And we do get the service.
Which we were very loud and clear heard that we cannot provide ourselves.
Yeah. So is there a motion
It's just to authorize me
to
to sign.
authorize Julie to
So
sign?
moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? 4-0. Review revenue and expenses summary year-to-date.
This was something that Peg sent out to you by,
In the package.
well, she also sent it to you by email, I believe. We're working on it.
And this is dated as of the 11th of June, so it's already a couple of weeks old.
It is.
And you were at 91% of your expenses, which means you're underspending.
We are underspending.
Yep. And you're at 97% of revenues, which is you're very close to pulling in the projected revenues that we expect to get.
Between Rose and I, we've been out there saying, register your vehicles, register your vehicles.
Yeah.
We're trying everything we can, believe me. We just want to get to 100. I cannot overstate how hard we're trying. We really are. We have made it so easy now. You have online, you have curbside, you have appointments. We just have to get it done.
Yep.
I have to do my vehicle this month. I talked with Rose, she gave me the amount. All I have to do is go home, write a check, send all the information in, and she'll send me back the little stickers for my plate. Easy peasy.
Yep. Are you gonna mail it in, or are you gonna?
I'm gonna have her mail it back to me.
Gonna mail it
And
back.
Yeah,
yes.
we have rapid renewal. We have Rose's rapid renewal. We have all kinds of things. So it's been good. But
Well, I gotta say, you guys are doing a great job under the circumstances. It's not an easy time.
it is not, and we're trying. And I can't say this enough about the office staff. All the departments have done great, but specifically the office staff who bore the brunt of the cuts. They are still here. We are still working with smiles on our faces. I mean, there are nights that Peg and I and Rose are here till 6:30, 6:45. And you guys know, because I call some of you on my way home and say, hey,
Right.
you know, and we're here. And again, they're only being paid for 32. You know, and we're doing less with more with less. But there has been a lot of improvement with the use of IT. And I have an update for our website. Our training for Tanya, myself, maybe Max, and
Kyle?
Marcus, will be the 2nd and 3rd week of July.
Have they finished the site map yet?
The site, we have the ability to see the site.
Okay, great.
But we can't go in it and play with it yet. So, and we can't do that until it's it's the first week of July is the first week of training, and then the 3rd week, because we didn't want to do it on the 14th of July. So I'm hoping by August we'll have everything up, and so.
Cool.
And they really understood the, I think, what we were looking for, so, and as far as the appearance of it, so.
Right. Well, there's light at the end of the tunnel.
There is light. I forgot to say that during my,
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
We're already to 10.6, is just to reappoint Scott Simpson to the planning board.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? 4-0. And the 10.7 is to discuss broadening the mandate of the 80 Gray Subcommittee to include consideration and recommendation of additional proposals and issuance of an RFP if they want to recommend that to the Select Board.
This is for 80 Gray?
Yes.
It's just for the subcommittee to.
The subcommittee. Right now, we can only talk about a contract to a specific person.
Okay.
But we want to expand that so that we can do other things.
Yep.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Thank you. The
Did you-
pitch.
the pitch. Well, can I just talk
Yep.
about AD Gray for a
Yep.
minute? And one of the reasons is that we've received another proposal from Volunteers of America who are looking at the building. So that's kind of what the impetus behind this. So the pitch, they would like to have their yearly soccer camp here on our fields. Typically, they go to the school, but all the school fields are closed right now. So they can't be utilized. So they have requested us to allow them to use the fields.
What's the dates?
Specific fields, all fields, some fields.
The soccer fields. I
Will they
think there's
change?
one.
The Dutch, they've been here for years.
Yeah.
Summers, and they normally have their camp at Philbrook Field.
But they haven't in the last couple of years.
Okay.
So they're going to do Philbrook and utilize another field over behind
One
the
of the,
school.
Begleyer
Marcus is good
Suites.
with it, and it won't conflict with who we've already allowed to use
Right.
the field.
That was
Yeah.
my question.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
about porta potties or bathroom facilities?
Well, we're going to charge them the cost of porta potties also.
Okay.
Yep. And that covers us on insurance, correct?
They have
They
their-
have insurance.
Oh, they have it,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep, they don't, you said you couldn't get COVID insurance.
Well,
So you can.
they have a waiver too, and they have increased their insurance. So apparently they have people coming from all over to teach these kids, and it would be sad to not. And I figured you guys wouldn't be upset with it since you already allowed.
No,
And they'll adhere with all the
right.
same rules that everybody's going to be treated the same.
Yeah.
I am though requiring, and Marcus agreed with me, that every field request should come before you guys. And the insurance company would prefer that we do it that way.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Did the town do the Dutch soccer before, or was it always an outside?
It's always been the pitch.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. My grandchildren play through that. I've watched them.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be great.
Yeah, it's good.
It sounded like a good thing.
Yep.
Do we need a motion, or are we okay with this consensus? I sense we have a consensus,
I
but,
still think we should probably make it.
We probably ought to
I'll
make
make
it
a
a
motion
motion.
to approve it.
okay.
Second.
Subject to insurance and
Yes.
so forth, yep. And there's a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? 4-0. Thank you. Old business, there is none. Agenda items for the next meeting.
I don't have anything.
Okay, well, we'll develop some as
It will
the
be July,
weeks go by here.
yeah.
It will be July 14th.
It'll be July.
Oh, is it
Oh.
the 14th?
Yeah.
It is, isn't it? No. Is it?
It's July,
July 14th.
yeah,
It
it
is.
is July 14th.
It is July
Hope so.
14th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's gonna be a short meeting.
Unless something really urgent comes up, because you're going to be involved in counting absentee ballots, among other things.
No, we're gonna do that Monday. That's
do
the,
that Monday?
Well, we have reserved the rate and we have advertised that we will count ballots, what we have on Monday. So they're already in the machines. And we've done that for years here, so it's
Right.
that's nothing new. We don't know the results, we just put them in.
Right.
And that requires, poll workers from both parties, myself and the Maximilian Worth a Billion. And we are still working on the thought process that we might open up the fire department. And what we might do is bring you in through the first aid, sign up everything, have the voting tents essentially in the fire bays, and then have a no mask voting room in the fire meeting room. So it might require us to have more poll workers, but it would make, if there is an issue where we have to clean, it would be quicker for us to shut down and have to clean and prevent everybody from being able to cast their votes in a timely manner. But we have to run that by the powers that be. So we will run that by. And I just want to say, everybody who's received their absentee ballot, it's so long, they are so happy that they're getting to do it because there's so much people are voting on it. Actually, we think that we're going to see more of this now that people have gotten a taste of it.
Yeah.
And you know, what's great is some people aren't registered, but they're requesting a ballot because they've moved. So, you know, we get to call each person and talk to them. So we're meeting a lot of new residents that way, and it's been a really interesting, don't you think, Max? Interesting experience.
Yes, very fun. And by the way, do you want to know how many ballots we've mailed out so far?
Yes.
456 as of today.
And
That's at least the number I had.
I think it's a little more than that.
what's the typical
I'm
turnout?
counting what's in this binder right now. That's what I can.
But what you're missing is all the ones that have been returned.
Yep. That's what I'm missing.
That's what
So-
you're missing.
So who knows? Maybe we've broken 500. I don't know.
Yeah,
how
we're
many-
closer to 6, I would
I
think.
don't know how many are in your office. That's the thing.
Quite a bit. So that's what's happening is once you get them, you have to take the paper out of there and you staple it to the ballot. That way it's there's a lot to it.
So what was the turnout in last year's election? Was it about 800?
But usually it's between 7 and 9,
Yeah.
right in that
So
ballpark. So that's
you're
good.
approaching
Yeah.
critical mass here.
Well, it was interesting because at first it was only Democrats asking for the absentees. Now I've got the Republican wave. So I went from the Democrat wave. Now I'm in the middle of a Republican wave. So I just say vote however you feel, but you know, if you want to come in, or vote absentee. But I will tell you, people are enjoying, I think, having the time and leisure to.
It's kind of nice to sit around the kitchen table and talk to your wife about what you're doing and how you're going to do it and discuss. It's nice. You can't do that in the voting booth, but you can do that at home.
And I think you might see that through that, process, you're going to have higher voter turnout, which isn't that what we always want? We always scream, we need more people to vote,
Yep.
Yeah,
Right.
you know, and it might, and like I said, again, and I will say this, here in Waldoboro, you know, when you call in or something, you know, Tanya's on the phone she knows everybody who's calling in. I know who's calling, or, you know, and we've been talking to people, and it's been great. Max loves it.
Yeah. And people can still do an application to get an absentee ballot.
Yes,
until
up until 8 o'clock, well,
Yeah.
7:59,
on
election day.
election day, so.
As long as we get those ballots in by that time on July 14th, you can get an application till July 13th. July
Even
14th.
if you came to vote in person and you couldn't wait, you could get an absentee ballot and you could cast that ballot. The only thing you can't do is you cannot change your party after June 29th.
Yep.
And if you mail them in, you have to remember 80 cents.
80
cost,
cents.
And to sign the back.
Yep.
Read the
Sign-
directions. I put it all right there, and
Right.
That little pink slip.
that little
the pink
Sign-
slip.
pink or
highlighted
yellow
string.
slip.
Yeah,
Yep.
Everybody liked that. Everybody who was called who said, I really appreciated knowing how much it would cost to mail back.
yep.
So it's been great.
Okay, so I guess as to the meeting we have on the 14th,
If we don't have anything really pressing, we might.
let's have one meeting in July. If
Yeah, at
we have
least.
something we need to really do, then let's have a meeting on the 14th. Are we willing to let it ride like that until, is
Do
that okay?
we have anything pressing for the 14th?
No, the only thing that you would really need to do is do your reappointments to boards and committees and that.
We usually have a meeting on voting day.
Yeah,
We do,
you
Yeah.
normally do.
yep.
Yeah,
It's
we
just
do.
normally,
It's just-
it's not
just-
me.
Yeah, right, you're
Not
normally
normal
not
anymore.
running them.
Well, and that's going to be the issue is I'm going to have to be in that room. So
Yeah.
you might just have to have it without me. It'd be fine.
I mean, appointments aren't that.
Wouldn't be as much
Pressing.
fun.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
if that's all we have, I mean, that's not really pressing.
No, I mean, they serve until a reappointment is made, so.
Well, technically, everybody's extended to July 14th. July 14th.
So do we have we filled, do we have Scott that we filled?
He's done.
He's
And-
done.
Well, that's a really, like, I would say that
That's
planning board
important.
position is
That's
the
an
most important one.
position,
Yeah.
it is.
Yes. So
And
if there's anyone out there who's listening who wants to be part of the planning board, please join.
How many vacant spots are there?
There's one vacant spot, but it would be good to have, I would love to always have an alternative, even if it's just one person. Just because there are some planning board members who, it's kind of like what we had a few years ago with Laura and Tara, where they unexpectedly had to leave, and then we were kind of down a few people. I don't really like being in that situation.
have we filled, who's doing the interviews this year?
Oh, we have to pick those people. That would be
Yep.
good.
That's
We
what
can do that right now. Why don't we just,
We can do that now.
or,
Well, we do that the
Actually,
first
we should-
meeting after.
Right.
We should do it
The
with
new
the full
board.
board.
Yeah.
With the new board.
I agree.
But who's doing them right now? Who's been doing them?
Katie and I,
Katie and Bob.
And have you had many people to interview and to fill positions?
no.
Good, we did have some people who are interested in conservation Saturday.
I sent
About
them
the
out,
shellfish?
okay, because I sent out ones that had expressed interest on Facebook to them, to their homes.
Good.
Okay, there were some that were talking to us.
Okay, if you give me their
On
names, I can
Saturday, I
send them an
will.
application. So now that's what I do. I don't wait for people to do it. We just send them an application
Good.
in the mail. That way they
Yep.
have no choice.
And of course,
will.
we need write-ins for the budget committee too. I mean, there are 3
Budget committee, water department,
utility.
I mean sewer
district.
utility,
Yeah,
I mean,
utility district.
sewer utility. So,
Yeah, but we won't know any of those until after.
No, we won't.
no, but you, just be aware you have to write them in.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't.
Are there any other things we need to talk about tonight? Is there
No,
a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you very much.